What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Flat out want to ask you a question, fairly strong question, as you might see. The live stream is indeed titled as such. You're hearing this a lot from folks on the left. It's a chief concern of left-wing voters. However, there are no shortage of folks on the right that are also saying the exact same thing. So I'm going to present it to you just as I typed it out in regards to the actual title of the program. Is democracy really at risk? That is what we're going to be asking. And if so, by which party? Which party is a threat to democracy? Because there are both sides of the aisle featuring voters, constituents, yelling out that democracy is on the ballot. Primarily on the left, you're hearing it, but there are folks on the right in suggesting that perhaps the Biden administration is weaponizing the government. That's a threat to democracy. So we're hearing it from both sides. I want to hear it from you folks. Is that even a concern in regards to how you are voting? When you cast your ballot later this year, we're talking a little bit over 10 months remaining until the national election. Will you be voting out of fear that democracy is even an issue? Or are you going to be voting based on the economy, perhaps the border, perhaps women's rights, Second Amendment rights, the typical issues that concern most Americans? Democracy on the ballot is something we don't normally have a major issue with in the national election. This is something new. So I want to ask you folks, is that even a concern coming up in November of this year? Is democracy really at risk? And if so, I'll ask again, by which party? That's what we're going to be discussing today. As always, the program is forever will remain MAGA friendly in its entirety. However, liberals are always welcome. Understand when you're commenting on the program, whether you're in the box or whether you're in the comments. Nobody gives a damn if you disagree with the host or anyone else. It is always about free speech. We do not block, ban, or censor your comments in any way, fashion, or form. Look it in the comments. Voting on economy, oil, and natural gas in Wyoming. That makes sense in Wyoming. That makes sense. It makes sense no matter where the hell you're at. If the price of fuel is affecting your bottom line, how you feed your family, how you pay your mortgage, it makes sense to vote based on that. But is democracy at risk? That's what we're asking. Looking in the comments again, the rich are trying to do a coup through Trump. Well, Trump is part of the rich. Regardless if you think he's a typical politician, you think he is a down-to-earth individual that knows what we're going through, Trump is and always has been part of the rich. So you say the rich are trying to do it through Trump. He is part of the rich. The republic is at risk. I'd like for you to state that. That's an interesting twist on the word. But in regards to is democracy at risk? No, the republic is at risk. Feel free to elaborate on it. I'm going to go straight to the box. We got almost 500 of you in here. Tap the screen, helps out the algorithm, brings in more MAGA, which are the preferred guests. Nevertheless, liberals are always welcome as well. We'll keep it going straight out with Sparkle. Fucking only Sparkle, is that what that says? All right. Good afternoon. Happy Monday to all you folks. And I'm asking straight out, Sparkle, if the box lets you come through, is democracy at risk? Now, the box is playing games already. We'll keep it going and see if the box comes through. The people's billionaires, thank you for clearing that out, brother. Thank me how? How are the people's billion? I don't quite get that. Lots of Trump said, but no facts. What did Trump say that's not factual? According to your comment, lots of Trump said, but no facts. And if it's not a fact, then why is Trump saying it? I don't quite get where you're going with that. Where's Lloyd Austin? I don't know what that even means. GOP only votes for profit, property over people, says Double Luck. Yikes. If that is true, yikes. I'm just going to leave it at that. We'll keep it moving. I don't know what happened with my last guest, but we'll try it with FSU. Sometimes the box can be problematic, and it looks like it may be starting out that way today. I am banned from the box, says Linda Land, because they freaked out regarding facts. Well, you didn't get banned by yours truly. You'll never be banned by the host. FSU, good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
How's it going, Tim?
It's going good.
Well, man.
Appreciate it.
Becoming a regular, but I'll answer your question. Yeah, I think it's at risk. And I'll definitely be voting on that topic alone. It's one of the reasons I cannot support Trump. He said he won the last election in a landslide, and he offered no evidence. There is a real person, a real Republican that was in charge in Georgia, Brad Roethlisberger or whatever, and he recounted in Georgia at least 5 times. Even if he supported Trump, I mean, the leadership is a Republican leadership, a blood red state, and it swung to the Democrats. It swung to Biden. And the fact that Trump held a rally on January 6th, just stop for a minute and just realize the day in D.C. that they were supposed to certify the election, he holds a rally in proximity to the White House where they're certifying that same election after he's already attempted to get fake electors. He basically just wanted to stay in power.
Well, I got some pushback. And by the way, Sonny Boy, thank you for that crane. I was focusing on the guest, but your generosity does not go unnoticed. And I'd ask the folks to tap the screen, get your boy up to around 10,000. You know what we do. Pushbacks in regards to Trump. In regards to the fake electors, do we have any evidence that Trump had anything to do with it? We know they're pleading guilty, these fake electors, in many states, particularly Georgia, as you mentioned. So they are guilty of trying to steal the election. But can we prove that they had instruction to do that from Trump?
All right. Everyone that worked with, can we prove, do we have a recording like his phone call to Georgia where he asked them to find them votes? Do we have a phone conversation saying, hey, do some fake elector plot? No, I don't have that. But do you think that the fake elector plot was working on behalf of Democrats who had won the election?
No, and I'll let you continue. But here's the way I view it, because this is similar to the Epstein list, where I had to go back and forth with a caller that suggested if you're on the list, you should be charged with some type of crime. Like guilt by association, I don't know if it works like that, because when you look at the fake electors, let's be clear, there's a hell of a lot of Republicans, the Giulianis, hell, even the Mike Lindells, that would have had something to gain by Trump being reelected, that may have fought for their own best interest, even if up to and including cheating, without even being advised to do so by Trump. Now, I understand this is devil's advocate shit, understand that. But what I am saying, that if it went to court, you could show how Giuliani would have made millions if Trump had been reelected, where that alone is an incentive for Giuliani to cheat, even if Trump doesn't tell him to.
That I have no dispute to that. But what I will say is this. I haven't seen any evidence to prove that the Democrats, specifically Joe Biden and his team or anybody operating on his behalf, manipulated the election. Have you?
No, I have not.
My whole thing is I'm working on behalf of Trump, somebody that he's hired, somebody that's in his administration, somebody that he's deemed as the best and the brightest, as he said before, that they would work to manipulate the will of the people.
Yeah.
Guys, it's really basic.
So let me, I'm gonna have to move it fast because I got a shorter live today. But what I want to ask you, if you believe democracy is on the ballot, if Trump wins again, how do you think our democracy will be affected? I assume negatively. What do you think he's going to do?
I'm really confident that he won't win. If we're just playing hypotheticals, I would hope that he or somebody working on his behalf wouldn't try to keep him in office past the 4 years. But yeah, I have a strong feeling that he just doesn't want to leave the office he wouldn't want to leave the office once he's in there.
Yeah. Well, but it is feeling at this point. We don't, it is speculation.
No, it's based off of what happened. Like,
Yeah.
Tim, we saw it.
Yeah.
We saw. I mean, look, you can't. No matter how far you get away from it. Like there was a similar call to Georgia. There was a call to Michigan, and they had already certified their vote.
Yeah.
He offered them coverage, the same coverage he's offering the people that went in on January the 6th. He's not calling them insurrectionists. He's calling them, what's the word he used? Not prisoners, but
Hostages.
Hostages.
Yeah.
Somebody lost their life.
Well, I do have to say though, here's Johnny in the comments, who was a friend of the program. Here's Johnny says, despite you suggesting that Trump, if he got in office, wouldn't want to leave, he did leave in 2020. He did actually leave the office on his own, voluntarily. He wasn't dragged out.
Voluntarily? Is that what we're spinning that into? He voluntarily left? Okay, look, if you want to say that there were people operating on Trump's behalf that have pled guilty and he ultimately voluntarily left the White House, he hadn't conceded the election.
Yeah, he still hasn't conceded. All right, FSU, he still hasn't done that. And I don't think you're going to get a concession speech from Trump ever.
Tim, I'll leave with this. Double Luck, I think, said it best. Like, it wasn't a peaceful transition of power, and that's what we've had. This is 2020 was not the first time we had a highly contested election, a close election. It won't be the last. But what we cannot do is operate without having legitimate proof. If you think he won by a landslide, then you just are divorced from reality. Like, you can look at other states. Guys, this country has leaned left for probably 30 or 40 years. The only way a Republican is going to win any general election is if they gerrymander or for some reason liberals just fail to get out and vote. And if they go vote, we won't have, until they change their policies on women's rights, on gays, and on things like that, until they kind of get back to the middle and stop being so extreme on those topics, I don't think there will have another Republican president.
All right, I want to say, I'll respond to that on the other side because I got a direct.
Can I respond? Can I say?
Okay, you got to wrap it up. Move. Okay, real quick.
I'm trying my best.
Yeah,
What I'll say is, guys, I'm not opposed to. I'm pro-choice.
All right.
But our country is the majority of our country is women, and I think what happens inside my house and what I prefer isn't right for the rest of the country. I want women to have the right to choose, and I think that's the line that Republicans need to take.
I don't disagree with that part, FSU. I appreciate you coming on. Now, I wanted to push back on something he said, but he added it on and it kind of threw my memory got thrown off. But if it comes up, I'll certainly bring it up. Just go vote. I do agree with that, Pam. I absolutely agree with that. Just go vote. The guy is saying a lot and nothing at all, says Alpha Male 909. I don't agree with that at all. He actually made points. You may not agree with him. You have that right, but he certainly stated how he felt resonates with a large amount of the constituency. Maybe not you, but a lot of folks would. If he was on stage saying what he just said, there are folks that would apply what he said. There are folks that would boo it. Looking in the comments, some Ace Trades on YouTube said caller needs to eat less soy. I don't know what that even means. TikTok users are clueless. Okay, well, I'm looking into YouTube as well. Grandfather Wisdom says, I vote in what's needed for my community, family, myself. However, I have to make a decision on that records if they is helping the American people or speaking rhetoric and not doing nothing in office. All right, fair enough. What we're asking before I go back to the box is folks are suggesting that democracy is on the ballot. It's not just on the left you're hearing this. Folks on the right are saying it as well. You vote for the Republicans, you're voting for an end of democracy. You vote for the liberals, you're voting for a president that's going to weaponize government and go after his opponents and therefore remove any opposition from the choice of the people. Both sides are claiming this. What I'm asking you folks, do you believe democracy is indeed at risk? And when you go to vote 10 months or so from now, will that be a concern for how you vote? Or are you going to vote for the typical issues, the economy, women's rights, Second Amendment rights, the border security, the way we're handling things globally? Are those going to be your chief concerns? Or do you truly believe democracy is at risk and that will trump all of the other things? Because I will tell you folks this, regardless of if you believe a woman has the right to choose or if you want $2 gasoline, if democracy really is at risk, none of that other shit is going to matter. If you think Trump is doing a great job or did a great job, but all of a sudden democracy is at risk, the next leader is not going to be concerned with that. Same thing if you think Biden sucks or whatever, but Trump comes in and you think he's going to play games with democracy, $2 gas may not even be an issue because you don't know where the country is going to go. You just don't know. Looking in the box, and I appreciate you folks tapping the screen. I can't see the name there. I think it says Roblon or something. Says, great job, Hal. There are people who believe both presidents, Trump and Biden, did a really good job in certain categories. Both sides. And I could easily give you different issues where people believe this president did a good job or that one. Neither one of these guys is 100% bad. If you believe that, then yeah, you are truly a biased individual. Going back to the box, we'll try it again with Sparkle. We tried it earlier at the box. This time, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. 500 plus of you in here.
What?
Sparkle.
What's up, bro? What's up, brother?
Not much at all. Good to have you back.
Let me just say one quick thing. First of all, I want to thank you so much for helping my other friend's platform the other day and coming in and being a respectful individual and doing the right thing. And you know what? I don't care if anyone in any platform has bad things, to say about any individual. Just coming in and being respectful is 100% one of my best things that I love about people. So thank you so much for that.
Anytime.
That person really needed some help.
I didn't know any of that. Sometimes I will flip through on TikTok, and if I see an interesting topic being discussed, I'll pop in, and that happened to be what I didn't know the host or anybody.
But if Sparkle's involved, it's gonna be interesting.
All right. So let's make this one interesting. Let me ask you: is democracy on the ballot?
Well, so here's the thing, though, and this is what I want to ask. And so, especially on the left side, so on your side, is democracy at a standing point in our country? Well, let's ask this question. How many ballots have not been allowed for Trump to be on already? So let's go ahead. Let's deep dive into this. Colorado's not allowing people to vote for Trump.
Okay.
They're not allowing people to vote. So is that democracy or is it not? And so when you deep dive into that subject and you ask that question, it's like, well, okay.
Well, but let's answer that. Let's go into that. You mentioned Colorado taking Trump off the ballot. First of all, is there any reason ever to remove a president from a ballot? Can they do? Is it? Well, hold on, hang on a sec. Is there anything they could ever do that would disqualify them from running for office?
Well, so there's only one thing, in my opinion, that ever disqualifies you from becoming a president, and that is if you actually engage and are a part of espionage and against this country, then sure, you're not allowed on the ballot.
Now espionage. Wait a minute. Espionage is spying. What if you tried to operate a coup? Do you think you should be removed from that?
Well, okay. So again, and I've said this before. I know a lot of people hate my opinion on this. I know that, listen, I know that a lot of people are about this.
You know this is a simple answer, right?
No, it's really not.
All right, go ahead. Let me hear what you got.
I don't know for a fact that Donald Donald Trump was a part of espionage. I don't even
Let me interrupt. Take Trump completely out of the picture because you're answering the question based on Trump. I'm just asking you flat out, if a former president, let's say it was Obama or anybody else that could run again, Jimmy Carter or somebody, if they were guilty of trying to operate a coup, do you believe they should be disqualified from holding office again?
If you're saying, are they found guilty of doing it? Yes.
Okay.
100%.
All right.
But has he been found guilty yet? No.
No.
So,
But the response to that is, now, unlike Maine, where Maine just had a single person take him off the ballot, in Colorado, it went to court and they did present a case, and it went before judges. They did determine, first of all, in the lower court, they didn't take Trump's name off the ballot. It was denied the effort to remove. However, the lower court judge said, yes, he did institute a coup, but the lower court said, even though he was part of an insurrection, we don't have the right in this state to do this. And it went to the Supreme Court, who overturned the decision on the grounds that, yeah, we do have this right. But even the lower court in Colorado actually agreed that it was an insurrection.
But you want to know what the funniest thing is about what's going on right now, and I'm going to ask you a serious question. Like, most people are on the left side are like, oh well, they always bring up states' rights as a reason why they're Republicans and whatnot. But yet states' rights, in a sense, have helped Democrats in several different instances here recently. And if you actually
give me some of them where states' rights.
I just gave you one. In Colorado, states' rights have helped them decide.
Give me another one.
Maine.
No. Give me something else. You're strictly on President Trump being taken from the ballot. Give me something else where states' rights has been beneficial to Democrats.
Let's see. In California, they just recently passed a law. Oh my God, I can't remember the name of the law, but the states' rights basically restricted the federal government from being able to, move in on some of the laws that go with.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'm gonna have to move it on.
I'm trying to piece it together.
I believe you.
But they just created a law that has to do with people that come over illegally and some of the things that are about that. And it was a democratic democracy, if you will. Law that came from Democrats, and there are states' rights that allow things to happen, and you have to individualize some of these.
All right, let me ask you this. Fair enough. What happened on January 6th, in your opinion? What was that?
I'll say this on January 6th because this is one of my most hated topics, by the way. But
I believe so. I bet you it is.
I hate it. I hate it more than anything. And by the way, I'm not like a diehard Republican.
Okay, Sparkle, I'm having I'm having an abbreviated program because I don't have a lot. You're going to answer these questions a little bit quicker than this. What happened on January 6th?
What happened on January 6th was, we had for the first time, and I'm going to say this out loud, and I know all you motherfuckers are going to hate me for saying this. We had for the first time a way to actually represent a discussion, I guess you could say, of people that actually worked versus others that didn't. And here's how I'm going to make an example that makes sense. BLM had 500 riots that didn't work, and January 6th had one. And what makes people mad, and this is what makes people mad, is that the one thing that worked, the one time that the Republicans did something that worked, it pissed people off.
How do you, what is your definition? You said the one time Republicans had something that quote unquote worked. What worked? What was the goal of January 6th and how did it work? What do you mean by work?
I'm going to tell you how it worked. We're still talking about it.
We're still talking about BLM as well. We're still talking about BLM too.
No, we aren't. No, we aren't. No, we aren't. And don't even start.
You just brought it up. I can't. Hold on. Hey, Sparkle.
Listen.
Hold on. Wait a minute, Sparkle. I gotta interrupt you. I cannot have a conversation about January 6th without BLM coming up. What do you mean we don't talk about it?
No, but listen.
I am. That's the issue. I am listening.
All right, but listen. The BLM riots didn't have the same effect that January 6th did. I'm sorry, they didn't. Whether you agree with it or not, I'm just trying to tell you the facts.
Yeah.
They didn't work.
Sparkle.
They didn't work.
Okay.
So the problem is that the one time it worked for one side, it didn't work for the other.
How did you confusing me? How did the January 6th protest? You said it worked. In other words, this what happened was their goal. That was the goal of January 6th.
Well, I mean, kind of. I mean, it kind of worked. I mean, we're still talking about it today. We're still discussing it. We're still going over it. Like people that were involved in it are still, involved in trials. Like it's still there. The BLM riots, like there's nothing that is still out there that.
So that was the only goal of January 6th, so people would be talking about it.
Hold on, time out. Don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say that. I didn't say that was the only goal.
Give me the other one. Give me some more goals.
First of all, I was not.
I didn't ask you, was you there? I asked you, what were the goals? How did it work? What else were they trying to do?
What they tried to do is they tried to ask for, well, I guess you could say ask. We can all, say what our First Amendment rights are. Of, what is, the election that we have that's put forth and whether or not it's fair or not. And I'll say this out loud. I don't think the election was stolen. I don't, personally. That's my opinion. Okay? And I'm on the right side. I don't. All right? But at the same time, if you're going to allow one thing to happen and the other, and then find out which one works better than the other, I would say that January 6th worked better than the other ones.
Right.
And whether or not you agree with that is your opinion. But if you look at the statistics and you look at the way that things unfolded, we're still talking about January 6th.
Fair enough.
We're still not.
All right. Okay. And you're correct. January 6th will always be talked about more than the BLM riots. But I do got to move it on, Sparkle. Appreciate you coming in. And in regards to that, he is correct. We're going to be talking about what happened on January 6th generations longer than what happened in regards to the summer of 2020. For the simple fact, you're talking about taking the life of the vice president. It doesn't matter what the outcome was, whether they succeeded in Mike Pence not certifying the election or they didn't. The notion that it worked because people are talking about it, I don't, is that the goal? Is that what they wanted when they went there on January 6th? Well, we want to do something people will be talking about for years. That is a very low bar. If that's, people are going to be talking about Charles Manson for years. That is a very low bar to say that it worked. Well, people are talking about it, so I guess it worked. It did better than the BLM. And by the way, the issue I brought up, because he suggested we don't talk about the BLM riots anymore. I don't think I've ever had a discussion on what happened on January 6th without the BLM riots coming up. Trump was bringing that up this weekend. Trump was at a rally this weekend bringing up the BLM riots in comparison to what happened on January 6th. I would submit to you, you're going to be hearing about the BLM riots a lot because without the BLM riots, there's no defense for what took place on January 6th. It's the quintessential, well, you did it too. If there was not BLM issues, then it would be a standalone issue. So you're going to have to keep bringing BLM up because there's very little to compare what happened on January 6th too. So you got to be able to bring this up as a defense. So yeah, I did it. Nobody's talking about January 6th. I don't quite get that. In the comments, somebody says, I can't pronounce the names, unfortunately, because my damn shirt is making a gray title. Very detailed window cleaner says BLM burned police stations. That did happen. I'm not here to defend what took place during the summer of 2020. However, these two things were on a totally different level. I don't know why one comes up without them. By the way, the BLM riots, all of that happened when Trump was president. Okay, maybe he should have did something about it. I don't know where to go with that. You're comparing something that happened federally with things that happened in individual states. Chaz in Portland, Minneapolis, over George Floyd, you name it. All that stuff, Jalen Walker in Kenosha, Wisconsin, it's all state level stuff. And we're trying to compare it to a group all descending on Washington, threatening to take the life of the vice president. It's a huge federal issue with a bunch of state crimes. They don't fit. These two things can't be compared to each other. Looking at, even though folks are trying to do that. Remember when BLM firebombed the White House grounds, burned the presidential church, and SS Guard Shack? No, I don't remember that. No, I don't remember that. Seriously, why didn't Trump do anything during the summer of 2020? Well, he did really chastise what was going on. I think Trump referred to the BLM protesters as terrorists. Going back to the box, Moo, the tuxedo cat, always a pleasure. Bringing up Moo, is democracy on the ballot, Moo? I'll let you have the floor.
Yeah, man, obviously when you're dealing with a Nazi movement and a Führer, right? Democracy's always on the line at that point, right? You're going to lose your democracy if you put a Nazi in office.
What do you think he would do?
Yeah, it's on the line.
What do you think? Okay, first of all, you say a Nazi movement and a Führer. I'm assuming you're talking about the right, or are you talking about the left?
I'm talking about MAGA in particular. MAGA is a Nazi movement, and Donald Trump is a Nazi.
Okay. Now, understand, you and I obviously have talked many times on the last, so I already know your political leanings, but I'm always going to ask you questions as if it's our first conversation. So, when you say that the Trump side is behaving like, 1940s Germany or 1930s Germany, what do you think Trump would do?
They are. They're fascists, right? They're fascists.
So what do you think Trump would do if he is reelected that would imitate what happened in 1930s Germany?
Well, he's already said what he's going to do, right? He's going to try to lock up his political opponents. He's going to try to build camps along the border for immigrants. And I assume they'll be used for people he doesn't like as well. Those are just two things right there. The dude wants a federal abortion ban, and he can go on TV and cry about how he doesn't want to do that all he wants, but he's the one who got Roe versus Wade repealed.
You believe, wait, you mentioned something that's really big. You talked about camps for folks entering the country illegally, but you said he would likely use those for people who
No, they're not. No, they're not entering the country illegally. These are asylum seekers. I don't know why people keep on saying that these people are entering the country illegally. They're not. But, I mean, it doesn't matter because MAGA really doesn't care either way, right? They don't give a fuck if they came here legally or not. They just hate immigrants, period. It doesn't matter if they came here legally or...
You think MAGA hates all immigrants?
Absolutely, man. Wow. They think they're going to take their jobs, right? They think they're going to replace white people. They think they're poisoning the blood of this country, right? Donald Trump hires plenty of illegal immigrants, right? He makes it a point to hire illegal immigrants because then he doesn't have to pay them benefits. He doesn't have to pay them fair wages. Trump loves illegal immigrants. If you fuckers think that Trump is going to fix the border, you guys are out of your mind. That dude is benefiting left and right off of immigrants coming into this country like that.
Now, you pointed out something that I want you to elaborate on. I think I know where you're going to go with it, but it's worthy of pointing out because you're right. MAGA has a totally difference of opinion, so I want you to illustrate this better. And by the way, folks, tap the screen. We should be around 40,000. We got over 700 of you in here. Tap the screen.
He already told you on his first day. He told you on his first day he's going to be a dictator.
That's not what I'm asking you. That's not what I'm asking you. Here's what I want to hear from you.
What's up?
In the comments, 83C Smart says they are entering illegally. Let's not deny it. Be more specific on why you suggest these people are not coming here illegally. They're not illegal immigrants. You said that.
So we bust a bunch of illegals up to New York. They were all illegal on that bus? No, they were all asylum seekers allowed to stay in this country that they bust up to New York. And the vast majority of them coming through are asylum seekers. Are there illegals coming through too? Yeah, but that's not the vast majority of them. And the reason that they're coming here is because we fucked up all their countries in the first place. If we didn't fuck up Venezuela, they wouldn't be coming here. So we're responsible for why they're coming here in the first place. MAGA don't give a shit about that. But that's 100% true.
Right. And I do agree that our interference in a lot of the ways their country runs has a lot to do with some of those folks being impoverished. But in the comments, Angelique Edwards says, stop using trigger words like dictator. How do you respond to somebody like that?
Stop supporting a dictator, putting him on TV.
How do you...
And then I can stop saying, all of these MAGA idiots, they project, stop talking about Trump. You have Trump derangement syndrome. Well, if the fucker could stay out in the news for 5 minutes and stop committing crimes and stop doing coups, then we wouldn't talk about him anymore, you mental midgets.
So you do indeed see Trump. I mean, I guess I didn't have to ask the question, but I will phrase it again. You do see democracy. Is that your primary reason you're voting? Because I know you're a progressive. You're not a big fan of Biden either.
Yeah.
But if it comes down to Trump versus Biden, what you...
That is the only reason I'm voting.
All right.
That is the only reason I'm voting.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and move on because I'm sure you got the same damn notice. There's probably somebody on the right that doesn't like you right now, but you know how it works. Yeah. Appreciate it, man.
That's fine.
All right. Catch you later. Yeah. Appreciate that, Big Papa. And what I was stating is, there are folks on the right and left that does not like what people have to say. Now, Moo is a friend of the program. He leans left. Got a hell of a lot of friends of the program on the right, even far right. And when folks are strong and passionate in their opinions, you start getting a lot of folks on the other side that start reporting people. I do believe somebody was trying to do that with my last caller, which is why I shortened our conversation. But Moo is always welcome on the program. You folks know I don't block, ban, or censor anyone. But these notices and all that shit pops up, so I do understand there's snowflakes on both sides of the aisle. It's not always on the left or always on the right. Both sides don't like hearing shit they disagree with. Looking in the comments, you banned me, says Handsome Truther. I haven't banned a single, well, no, I take that back. I did ban, we've been doing this program couple years almost now. I banned 2 people the entire time. I don't have a moderator on this program. Nobody gets banned. Anybody that listens to this program regularly can tell you for a fact, this dude allows folks far left, far right, QAnon, Bernie Sanders types. We let everybody speak. Nobody, you didn't get banned from yours truly. Whatever your Handsome Truther, you absolutely didn't get banned from me. We do not have a moderator. The only 2 people I banned, I think one person kept throwing the N-word out over and over and over again. I mean, just to save the program, I had to get rid of him. And then another person who didn't like the hat, probably a liberal, put in the comments, please ban me. Oh, okay, fair enough. I took his ass off. Appreciate the hat and mustache. I didn't see the name because I was deep in conversation there. Big homie. Thank you. Yeah, big homie. Looking in the comments, I'm the one who banned them. Says, okay, well, don't do that. If you're reporting folks, if what you're hearing stated here is enough to piss you off to the point where you're starting to report, there are a ton of lives on all up and down YouTube or TikTok. We're on YouTube as well. But I would encourage you to go tune into something else where people are not getting on your nerves as much. Or in some cases, people on the right like to hear people on the right. People on the left want to be in a live full of liberals. We let everybody speak. We're not here to tell you how you should think. We're here to hear what you have to say. And that sometimes can be a bit much for some people. Looking in the comments, the MAGA movement is just marketing to inflame the uneducated base. It's why they all lie, says Scott. I don't agree. Now, listen, both movements have its share of marketing. Both movements have its agenda. However, a lot of the strong Christian principles, for instance, which many folks on the left might feel judgmental or even oppressive, so to speak, MAGA do stand on those. You know, they're not a big fan of the LGBT community and things like that. These are Christian principles. Pro-life, for instance, Christian principle. The evangelical portion of that base is going to stand on Christian rights. I don't think it's always about folks lying. Sometimes it is based on what principle you support. So I don't think that all MAGA is just simply lying. I'm new here. Are you a liberal Trump supporter? The answer to that is no. Tukey, Tukey, isn't that? Never mind. That's a well-known celebrity from the past. But the purpose of the hat on the program, and I do appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. 800 plus of you in here. We should be around 50,000 if you let your thumbs and I'll be lazy. Whole purpose of the hat is because I believe conservatives, Republicans, and particularly MAGA do not get a fair shake in the media. Oftentimes, the minute they open their mouth, out comes the censorships and ban. I do not believe in banning free speech. So, as a result, you'll always see the MAGA hat here to let folks know this is a MAGA-friendly program. Regardless of how you think, what you feel, you'll be allowed to speak here uncensored. That's the purpose of that. Going back to the box, and somebody said, is the hat made in China? I don't know. I hear that a lot. Country hound dog. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. That's why you're the best, says Metro. Thank you, Emil Rose. Appreciate that. Country hound dog, is democracy on the ballot?
It's always on the ballot. But hey, let me drop back, and I'm like you. I've heard Moo, the Tuxedo Cat, on here several times. People, he's got his opinions. He's entitled to them. Don't go reporting him. It ain't right.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd like to get on here with Moo and have a back and forth with him, civilly, Might be a little tough because he does get passionate. You're right about that. But yeah, democracy is always on the ballot. But here's something I've been noticing lately, and this is what I'm asking both sides. I'm asking everybody, okay? And the definition of fascism, part of it is jailing a political opponent. And in particular, not multiple political opponents so much, but one particular, they target one particular opponent and they jail them in order to stop any kind of movement.
So I have to push back with the immediate obvious question. When Trump was yelling, lock her up, does that qualify as fascism?
He was not, and he was going, if she did not win the presidential race, he wanted to go after her for what she had done, and I'm not a fan of Hillary. So, but yes, if she had became president and he yelled lock her up, I believe that would be fascism.
Well, you can't lock up a president. Wait a minute. You said going after your political opponent. I mean, obviously, if they're both running for office and she wins and he's just, hold on, hang on. If she had won, as you said, and he's just a regular citizen, there's no way he could lock her up. He was suggesting that if he won, and he did it in a debate, by the way, when they were having a presidential debate, those two, he said, if I win, you would be in jail. So is that fascism?
I would have to ask somebody who is more of a political scholar than I am.
You brought it up.
I do think you're right about it.
Okay.
I do think you're right. Okay? I do think you're right about it. But as you said, had he not won, he would have just been a civilian still.
But based on your own statement, locking up your political opponent, he was promoting fascism. If according to your definition.
He's going after her based on what he felt was crimes against American people and leaving people in Benghazi,
But is it?
I've only ever asked one question about Benghazi.
But wait a minute. If you're saying that he went after Hillary Clinton, hang on. Hold on. If you're saying that he went after, regardless of what her crimes were, you're saying he went after her because he felt she had legitimately committed crimes. You're bringing up Benghazi and things like that. Isn't that what they're going after him for? Is they believe he legitimately committed crimes? Country Hound Dog, did we lose you? All right, apparently we lost our last caller. Maybe he got a phone call. So we'll move it on. Somebody said he left. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Once again, Trump thinks he's the law. She was already investigated and cleared. Yeah, she had like an 11-hour testimony before Congress. I don't believe that if Hillary Clinton, if there was solid evidence of guilt where they had her, I don't think Trump would have let her off the hook. I believe the only reason Hillary Clinton did not get locked up after 4 years of Trump being in office is there was nothing to get her with. I don't believe he would have just let her walk. There's no way I believe that. Looking in the comments, I don't think he thought that out all the way before he got up here. Look, sometimes that happens. Perhaps sometimes yours truly, I'm like that. But understand, when you get in the box, if you say something, I will challenge you on it. I don't have any issue with folks coming on the program or in the comments telling me I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Feel free to challenge me any way, fashion, or form. In fact, I encourage you to do that, and I will never censor your speech for doing so. But I will challenge you. If your point makes more sense, I'll concede it, or folks in the comments will tell me I don't know what the hell I'm talking about all day, every day. We do it like that here. Going back to the box, DJ Julio. Good afternoon and welcome to the program. I don't know what happened with the box, but we'll try it with, we're having some issues here. I'll keep trying to bring them up as they come in, but the box plays games here. Trump liable for sexual assault, and O.J. Simpson liable for unaliving two people. Why is Trump innocent but O.J. guilty? Folks have a different way of feeling about O.J. versus Trump. O.J. was found not guilty. They don't accept that verdict. Trump may be found guilty. He certainly was found liable for, as you brought up, sexual assault. They don't accept that verdict either. Sometimes people go into something with a preconceived notion that you cannot change. You just, like for instance, whatever happened on January 6th, there are folks that you cannot change their opinion no matter what comes out of it. They have their own opinion and there's nothing you can do about that. So that's kind of why that works that way. There wasn't an insurrection. Trump did not start something that didn't happen. But well, listen, the whole case has not been adjudicated in court. Maybe Trump is not guilty of an insurrection. However, if you're at that opinion already and you haven't heard anything that came out in court, then you're exactly what I just talked about. Somebody that already has an opinion made up and no evidence, not a shred of evidence can ever change your mind. You haven't heard phone calls. You haven't heard backdoor conversations. You have not seen any text messages that may be presented in court. For instance, the leader of the Oath Keepers, the one that got 22 years, they got evidence, which is what was used to convict him, that he was already planning that stuff on January 6th as far back as December 12th. They went out about radios. There are messages where they told folks to show up, don't wear camo, so nobody would know who you were. They had Molotov cocktails and all of that. Folks who believe what happened to these folks was a miscarriage of justice are not going to watch the trial. If I believe the trial is a sham and they're just trying to railroad these guys, I'm not going to watch it. And if you don't watch it, then you don't hear all the evidence that comes out. You already have your mind made up. They're innocent. That's how this is playing out. People who believe that January 6th was a love fest, I'm not going to watch anything. I already got my mind made up. So all of the juicy details that may come out, they're going to be oblivious to them because they never even participated or viewed anything that came out. Looking in the comments, half of them were FBI agents and informants for the FBI. Well, if that's the case, where half of the participants on January 6th was the FBI, then the obvious question to ask is, who the hell was in control of the FBI at that time? Who controls the FBI? And who appoints the person that leads the FBI? Because we need to talk to him. Or is that off limits? Do we pretend like that they just did it all on their own? Looking in the box, we'll go back to DJ Julio. I don't know if it's going to bring you up, but we have to ask these questions, folks. I mean, this stuff didn't happen in a vacuum. I don't know what. Please just stop making stuff up, says Big Nasty. State in the comments what was made up. I just asked the question, who controls the FBI? Unless you're suggesting that the individual claiming that half the crowd was the FBI is the individual making things up. I'm having some significant troubles with the box. We'll try with Frank. Let's see if it brings up this time. I don't know what's going on with the box. Money buys power. I don't disagree with that. The police let him in. It's in its facts. Look at the tape. Larry, that is partially true. They're absolutely police that are letting them in. We did a live on Saturday about that. However, here's something I have a real big issue with. If the police let the protesters in on a day when all of the nation's leaders were there, when they're yelling out they want to find Nancy Pelosi, they're on the ground saying they want to take the life of the VP, they're bringing in sticks, Viking hats, they're bringing in bullhorns and all sorts of weapons. In plain sight, by the way, in plain sight, QAnon, when he was being let in, he had a long-ass stick, wooden stick with a flag on it, about 5.5 foot long. That's a weapon. You're not going to tour any government building walking around with a big-ass 5 foot wooden stick. So if we're going to bring up the police were letting them in, something I find oddly suspicious. Why are the right and the left as well, but particularly the right that is bringing this up, why aren't you demanding the police be held accountable for that? The building was closed. They had no right to give anybody a tour. If you don't believe MAGA did anything wrong, then you'd have to believe the police did something wrong. Their radios are obviously chiming with folks saying the other side of the building is being overrun. Even if you point out where the cops are letting people in, there is no one that does not believe anybody committed a crime there that day. You could go out to the Capitol building and smash a window and climb in through it and they'll shut the whole building down. One person. But yet it's being done by dozens of people. And on the other side of the building, they're still continuing a tour. Does that make sense? When was the last time you went to a government building on a tour and your tour guide was an armed police officer? When does that ever happen? We toured places all over the country. I've toured everything from the 4 presidents in Rapid City, South Dakota. I've been to Washington. I've been to Philadelphia. I've toured things all over the country. I've never been offered a tour by a guy in a police suit with a gun on his side. Where have you ever seen that happen? The police give you the tour. Really? People believe that? All right, looking in the comments, the police were taking me on a tour while the building was being overran on the other side, while the vice president and all of the heads of state was in the building at the same time. Wow, they had a sign on the building that said not open for tours. How did they get to escape responsibility? Even folks on the right should be saying they need to be punished for doing that if you believe they were offering a tour. I don't know what's going on with the box. We may have to, the cop was a MAGA supporter. Yeah, that sounds probably more reasonable. All right, DJ Julio, good afternoon.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. So where am I getting it wrong? Folks are telling me I'm making shit up and all kinds of stuff.
Well, yeah, listen. If I'm being blamed of something, if I'm blaming you of something,
Sure.
I'm saying, Tim, you came to my house, you threw a rock through my window. I have got to unequivocally prove that you did that.
Okay.
I've got to go through the process. I've got to be charged. I've got to be then convicted.
All right.
What I see a lot of the left and liberals doing in my entire family is either a liberal or a Democrat, and I love them to death. We go through these conversations and we understand each other's stance very well. We don't yell, we don't belittle, we don't talk shit, we don't call each other names, we don't do all the foo-foo comments that I see in a lot of these lives, not just yours.
All right, appreciate that. So, do you? Because what, in your opinion, happened that day? Then, because we know the liberal thing was an insurrection. What do you think happened that day?
Well, to be honest, I without having put my eyes in everything that everybody is looking at, I can't really tell you. Do I think the election was stolen? I think there was something fishy with it. There was enough evidence that floated around all of social media, all of Google searches. There was enough sketchy shit going on.
Well, wait a minute.
Assume that something wasn't right.
But here's the issue. There's a big difference between something sketchy, as you put it, and I do believe in a country where 150 million people voted, you're going to easily be able to find sketchy shit. But there's a big difference between being able to find quote unquote sketchy shit and saying Trump won by a landslide. You've seen evidence of sketchy shit. Have you seen evidence that Trump won by a landslide?
Without that sketchy shit, I think it would have been a landslide. But what I will say, because I don't want to get into a big discussion on what I can't prove and what you can't prove.
But wait a minute, DJ, it's been 3 years. Why can't it be proven yet? It's been 3 years.
Exactly.
But why? If Trump can get up there and say he won by a... Hang on. If Trump is getting up there saying he won by a landslide, why can't he just show us the proof?
That remains to be seen as well. You have a point there, but what I will say is this. For a man that has been under fire from 16 minutes after he was sworn in back in 17, from 16 minutes after he was sworn in, they wanted to eradicate this guy from the office because in his own words, he wanted to drain the swamp. Now, if I go logical and I think if somebody is going after somebody who said they were going to drain the swamp and now they want to drop him out of the office 16 minutes after he has taken the oath to govern our country, and they tried for his entire presidency, and then they tried.
But wait a minute, but didn't Trump suggest that if Hillary Clinton won, he was going to go after her within 16 minutes too? He was already talking about locking her up. Wasn't he going to do the same thing?
I would, as far as Hillary and Bill Clinton can go, man, let me catch them in my state.
That ain't what I'm asking you, though. What I'm saying is...
on Jeffrey Epstein's plane, you know damn well if he was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane, she was somewhere involved in it.
Look, Trump got pictures with Jeffrey Epstein, too. Is he excused?
Yes, sir. Yes, he is, because that's business dealings. He's never been on that plane. He's never been to his island.
So, you're telling me...
He asked to have Epstein kicked out of Mar-a-Lago several times.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. You're telling me that Jeffrey Epstein, this horn dog, with infinite wealth to the point where he got his own island, the only time he did bad is when he was on that island. He had his own personal pimp. You're telling me he couldn't do anything in New York City?
Oh, no. Man, shit, he was doing shit in New York City.
So why do you think Trump is innocent?
Because Trump was the one that was pushing him out of Mar-a-Lago.
That's it.
Keeping him out of his area, keeping him out of his domain. I don't want you around here because you're a creep.
Okay. So he hung out with parties and all this stuff, but all you had to say is I'm pushing him out of Mar-a-Lago and he's forgiven.
I'm not saying that he's forgiven, and I'm not saying, no, I said this in, God, I wish I could remember their name. They had a great life. We had a great conversation. It took a long time to have a great conversation, but we ended up having one. And I said the same thing. I'm not going to excuse Trump because, listen, he won first as a man and has done a lot of dumb shit in his life. We all have. I look at you and I look into your eyes through the live, and I can't see you in person, but I can tell you as a man, as a younger man, had probably done something that you're not real proud of today. And you've made yourself better today because of those mistakes that you made.
Okay. So
now you look like you're what? You're like probably what, 43, 44?
I'm about 7, 8 years older than that. But I don't want to get too far off the topic.
No, and it's all about topic, Tim.
Okay, let me have it.
It boils down to common sense about people. When you see a person that has lived a shit life, you're not living by the moral code of life, and then you see a man that wants to do better, he doesn't have to collect a check from being a president. He donated every bit of his earnings as a president.
Well, that's disputable. That is disputable because now there are reports that he made a fortune off the Chinese, Saudi Arabians by letting them stay at his facility. I don't know if we're going to dismiss that or not, but there is reports that say he made a lot of money as president.
Now, they're staying at his personal businesses.
Yeah, it was in violation of the Emoluments Act. You can't, as president, have dignitaries coming in the country and staying at your properties, and then you're charging them these huge fees. He was doing that.
Right. Now Trump really couldn't run his companies while he was
He's profiting from them. It doesn't matter. He's profiting from. You would tell me behind the scenes he couldn't recommend his company to somebody on the side, like, stay here, we'll make sure you're treated properly. You telling me that didn't get out?
Well, I mean, if that was happening, that should have been brought up way back then.
It was brought up. That's why they stopped him from doing it. He was having these folks stay at his properties. It was happening.
Okay. So you said something very important there. So he did stop it. They did stop him from doing it.
But why did they have to? Why didn't he know that already?
Because he's not a politician, Tim.
So
he's not a politician.
So is that it?
He's new to this. He's new to this game. But he did good, and what was smart about Trump being the president in the first place. If everybody would have left him alone, I mean, our trade deals were better with China. We were 17% across the board. Them versus us, instead of us being at 40. Oh, excuse me, my facts are probably going to be wrong. Anyway, I think it was 35 to 42% is what we had to pay, and they were only paying 17. With him in office, everybody was paying equal.
I'm not going to disagree with you on Trump's economy. I think his economy was pretty well into COVID hit too. But that just because you're giving people a good economy, that doesn't excuse everything else you're doing. Up to and including, I'm going to ask you what I asked the last call. What happened in your opinion on January 6th? What happened in your opinion?
His support group got together and decided that, based on what they saw, the Electoral College is what won Biden the vote. The Electoral College is a joke. Going back, I mean,
that's what wins everybody. That's how everybody win with the Electoral College, isn't it?
Well, I mean, to an extent, yeah. I mean,
so what happened on January 6th?
I guess Hillary had the I think, didn't she have the popular vote?
Yeah.
And he won by Electoral College.
Right. He won the same way. So what happened on January 6th?
January 6th, he told them, if this is how you feel, do what you will. And if I'm being honest, Tim, if me and you are hanging out and you feel like Joe Blow is disrespecting you, taking from your job, and doing it, incorrectly, doesn't mean I'm going to go and burn down the house of the guy. But I'm going to go have words. If I support you, I'm going to.
Is when they were calling for the death of Mike Pence? Is that what you thought that was? They wanted to have words with him. Is that how you phrase that?
Well, now we're judging an entire movement. We're judging an entire movement. I can say this about Black Lives Matter. I can say this about the Rainbow coalitions. I could say that about all of them.
But I'm asking though, when they were in the crowd, I'm asking in regards to this particular, and you can say whatever you want about Black Lives Matter. We can discuss that. But what I'm asking you is, when they were calling for the death of Mike Pence, what does that mean to you? And they had a device there stating how they wanted to do it. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, they wanted to hang him. I just read this. I heard you talking about that. So
you just heard about this?
I heard you talking about
right. What did it mean to you?
So I then went and I Googled, what is this whole thing about? What was said? What was Trump saying? Whatever. They wanted to hang him. I'm sure some people did. But, I mean, if you feel you are getting taken advantage of in America, as we have been since the freaking early 2000s, eventually you're going to get to a point where you're fed up. Tim, I know in your personal life you deal with some people.
Wait, we don't want to go. Here's the issue I have.
Finish.
Okay, because you're go ahead. I'll give it to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, and I just want to say it so that people can maybe take Trump out of the picture, take Biden out of the picture, take them all out of the picture, and think personal for a second. How would you react? How would you react in a position of management, a position of CEO, or however you want to look at a position in the presidency, if somebody was trying to take that from you? How would you and your people feel about that? Whether they be white, black, Indonesian, Mexican American, Asian American, doesn't matter who or what color they are. We're all the different tone of melanin. There's no white, there is no black. You're brown, brother. I'm Native American and Mexican.
Okay. Now you make a good point that if folks feel like they're being wrong, they can be quite upset. But here's where I have a counterpoint. The election was November 4th. The protest was on January 6th. There is no way in hell that audience was presented with enough evidence in 2 months and 2 days to act like that. Everything they done was based on what somebody told them or them acting on their emotions and how they felt. They had absolutely no proof by that short period. I would tell you this, if you had interviewed most of those folks in that crowd, they would have believed Dominion switched votes because they were being told stuff that's not true that we know now is not true. 2 days and 2 months, they're acting like that already?
They're acting like that because of the 4 years that they had to watch their president, the man they stood behind, get berated with all of this crap, from Senate, from the House, from the media. I mean, if I watch, I pay attention to interaction.
But you're talking about taking the life of the VP. He wasn't berating Trump. He wasn't doing any of that.
No, but he was standing against the people who were trying to shake the tree of liberty to get some justice for themselves.
How were they going to get justice? What were they trying to do to get justice?
They started off as a protest. Someone opened up a gate, whether it be a cop, an FBI agent, or they kicked it over. I don't, none of that matters to me.
Well, but it matters to everybody else. That's the problem. So when you say they were trying to shake the tree and get justice, you're admitting they were seeking to harm people.
No, I'm saying they were seeking change. They did not agree with what was going, and if they couldn't get it crossed by their voices, yeah. I mean, man, come on. If this was a trial,
were they seeking to harm people or not?
I don't think they wanted to hurt anybody. I think they were ready to.
You sound like you're saying something and then unsaying it. I mean, when they went in the Capitol calling for Nancy Pelosi and looking for her, what do you think would have happened if they found her?
Not a damn thing.
They just gave her a hug?
No, they probably would have sat across from her and yelled at her, and then they all would have ended up going home.
What would have happened if they found? What would have happened if they found Mike Pence?
Well, as Trump said himself, Mike Pence was secured.
That ain't what I asked you. That ain't. What if they had found him? What would have happened?
Nothing. I don't think nothing would have happened.
So they were just all there. They were all there, just lying there that day.
Videos. Look real closely at the videos and how angry they were. I can see how angry they were, but look how violent they were. They weren't. They were pushing people out of the way. They were pushing people up the stairs. They weren't hurting anybody. One lady got shot by White House security.
You didn't see any cops at all being beaten or injured by the protesters at all. None of that happened.
No direct fist-to-fist fights that I ever saw in any of the videos I've watched.
Nobody using sticks or flagpoles to beat police. You didn't see any of that.
I've never seen anybody get hit.
Anybody being bear sprayed? You see anything like that?
Oh, I saw. Yeah, everybody's getting sprayed with something. I mean, they were spraying them, and they, back and forth.
Why would you show up to a peaceful protest with bear spray?
Why would you?
You answer the question with a question. I'll answer yours, but answer that one first. Why would you show up?
I'll answer it. Why would you show up with bear spray? I would go to. If I went to the Capitol, I'd have some protection on me.
But you said
I don't know if I'm going to run into somebody that's not going to like what I'm standing for and is going to try to assault me, and I'm not going to stand there.
Why would you think that's going to happen? Why would you think somebody's going to assault you?
Because that's what happens in America.
The Capitol building has had
look at all of the peaceful protests during the 2000s. We didn't have that shit in South Dakota. I'm from South Dakota, so when you said you came and saw the faces, I live in that city.
So you live in South Dakota. You got the monument there with the 4 presidents.
Yes,
you ever toured that?
Huh?
Have you ever toured it?
Absolutely.
You brought bear spray that day?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, no, I didn't bring bear
Why
spray.
not? You just said you expect to be. Why didn't you bring bear spray?
I didn't bring bear spray because I didn't tour when they were doing the protest and stuff. I've toured it just touring it. But I always have my pistol on me, yes.
Okay. So you did. So you're saying that when they went to protest at the Capitol building, they should have been prepared to harm people back or pepper spray people back, even if it was the cops.
Well, I mean, if you were getting ready to shake the tree of liberty, if I know I'm going into the hen house and I have a chance of meeting a rooster, I should probably be prepared.
Okay.
Now, as far as Trump and the insurrection thing, because I was trying to get on a long time ago when you were talking about the insurrection a couple days ago, and then I messaged you directly so I could figure out when you got online so I could get back on, because I really do like the way that you talk. I like the questions that you throw. I like how you present yourself. I like the baiting with the "Make America Great Again." It's a form of baiting. I like it. But Trump didn't do nothing. He did nothing to make those people go across the street. He didn't say go over there and kick ass.
Well, he suggested it was a love fest. Do you agree?
Well, I mean, it was a love fest for him. People
No, that ain't what I'm saying. He said January 6th was a great day. Do you agree?
I do. It showed me as a person that sits in South Dakota, we don't have the problems that the big cities have. We don't have near the problems that most of the nation has, because in South Dakota we follow two rules: respect and responsibility.
All right. Fair enough. I do got to move it on.
Even when we do protest, because we got the Native Americans, that this was the last standing space for the Sioux Nation. I'm a Native American enrolled in the Sisseton Wahpeton Sioux tribe, which stands right next door to Standing Rock.
All right.
Which was the
listen.
of American news.
Look, fair enough. I do got to move it on. Obviously, we disagree on everything, but I'm always going to say you're always welcome back on the program. I would never limit your time, but I do appreciate you coming on, DJ. Great day. Come on back anytime.
All right.
All right. And listen, I always make it clear, folks, I don't block, ban, or censor anyone. We're always going to get some controversial opinions. As I say all the time, we go left of Bernie Sanders to him having dinner with QAnon tonight. That's a caller that does believe January 6th was a great day. He supports what President Trump said. It was a great day. Not much happened wrong. It was a legitimate reason to bring bear spray and things like that. As he said, you're going to shake the tree of liberty, seeking justice. So this is very similar to what Trump is saying. All right, looking in the comments, and he said he was actually crying. Okay, fair. Will people come and ask questions and they have so many facts until you ask a question? Yeah. Well, like I said, sometimes folks have a preconceived notion that cannot be deterred. If you, like, for instance, one of the issues I've seen on the program, particularly when asking questions about folks who have condemned some of Trump's actions while he was in office, the Mike Pence's, the Attorney General Barr and folks like that. Anytime somebody speaks ill of Trump, they're a plant. They've been bought out, or they got something to gain, or they're ready for. I don't know. I said before, I don't know how you can run a court case like that when everybody that steps up and speaks ill of Trump, they lose their credibility. I don't care if it's General Petraeus, General Mad Dog Mattis, folks who have a long history of being credible. The moment they speak ill of Trump, they lose all their credibility. I don't know how you could ever run a court case and come up with a decent verdict. I mean, it's like Trump has a force field around him. If you say something about him, it bounces off. I don't know how you can do that. But I have not heard of one person speaking ill of President Trump. And I'm not just talking liberals, like I just pointed out. There's a host of Republicans that MAGA still finds credible. Ron DeSantis has lost his credibility, and he was a rock star this time last year. This time last year, he was only 2 months off of one of the best midterms for Florida. He was a rock star. There were Trump, DeSantis memes floating everywhere. He's lost most of his credibility with MAGA now. So I don't know how you could have a court case with Trump where folks who support Trump are going to accept the results, because anybody that testifies against Trump is going to lose their credibility. I don't know how you can do it. Looking in the comments, these are your MAGA voters, people. 39% can't beat 50% and better. Do the math. He can't win. Yeah, you're assuming the 50% shows up. What you're stating is 39% of the country is MAGA. 50% may vote for Biden, may be liberal, may be consistent of independence. So you're saying the 39% can't beat the 50. But you got to be sure the 50 is going to show up, because MAGA sure as hell is going to show up to vote in November. There's a lot of folks in that alleged 50% that are not big fans of Biden, are not energized by Biden, that may sit this one out. MAGA's not going to sit it out. So that 39% possibly could still be victorious. Going back to the box, we'll keep the program moving with What Up Buckley. It's a new name. new into the program. Good afternoon, if it lets you in. The day Trump finally meets his creator, we can all start healing. This country is just so divided. It's very divided, but Trump is not in office right now, and it's still not unifying. I don't see Trump trying to unify the country. I don't see Biden being able to do it either. So I don't know. What's up? Good afternoon.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Now, go ahead.
Good.
Now I was going to ask, do you see democracy on the ballot at all? Folks are saying in 2024, later this year, 10 months down the road, they're going to vote because they believe democracy is under threat. Could be from the liberals. Folks like my last caller believe that the liberals are weaponizing the DOJ against opponents and things like that. And folks on the left believe Trump is a threat to democracy as well. Do you see democracy being an issue at all?
Oh, absolutely. I think, I don't want to sound too hyperbolic, but, I truly believe if Trump is reelected, it will be the last election that we get to participate in.
So you're the total opposite of my last caller. Then what do you? Because my last caller believed that what happened on January 6th was the way things should go. You believe you've been mistreated. This is what you should do. How do you view January 6th?
Well, there's a lot of people that just are Trump apologists, and sometimes it's very hard to swallow where they're coming from. I definitely try to understand, but you have to really divorce yourself from the reality of it. What happened on that day is that it was completely organized and planned. The Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys were there, all suited up in their military gear. Trump had 12 people speak before he got to speak. All 12 of those people
sound like they're coming for you, man. They're coming for you.
12 people spoke before Trump that day, and every single one of them said something outrageous, violent, calling for people for trial by combat. I mean, that's America's mayor telling citizens to go down there and fight the police. I mean, there were 12 people who spoke before Trump. Every single one of them had the same message. You have been cheated. It is time to fight. And all of those people went down there, and they were all fired up. Now, I believe that the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys knew they were going to storm the Capitol, and they led the charge. And everybody who was down there was already fired up. I don't think the people who went down there thought, we're going to go march in there and tear that place apart. I don't think that's what they thought.
But what about the notion that it could, now here, Mima Deb, the notion that it could have been a setup. Mima Deb says January 6th was a setup by our three-letter organizations, DOJ, FBI, CIA, you name it, I suppose. She says, watch the released video footage. How do you respond to folks that say Trump didn't have nothing to do with it, and, Ray Epps or, Antifa or Black Lives Matter or the FBI did all this stuff? How do you respond? Because it comes up over and over again. How do you respond to that?
Well, here I would say is in any organization like the police, the fire department, the FBI, people come and go from those jobs. And if there was a mass conspiracy to undermine the entire population of the United States, you would think that at least one FBI agent would come forward and say, yeah, we did it. We planned this. It's just nonsense.
What you're saying is by now you should have at least one federal whistleblower to come forward and admit, like Snowden or one of them did back in the day, and release some information to say, yeah, the FBI did plan it.
There is always one guy that's willing to break the law to tell people the truth.
Right.
And somebody would have already done it by now. It's just cuckoo thinking that there is a conspiracy and this giant dark underworld that controls how everybody lives. It's just nonsense. People can't keep secrets.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've ever seen an episode of Maury Povich, when somebody walks in there trying to figure out who the baby's daddy is, you know that people can't keep secrets.
Yeah. I will also add on to what you're saying is that even though Biden is in office and Trump no longer is, it's a lot of those FBI agents that worked under Trump, they still have their jobs. And a lot of the FBI vote Trump. All of the FBI is not liberal. Every FBI agent in America is not a liberal. Every FBI agent in Washington is not a liberal. There are tons of folks that could have slipped a note out and or slipped out issues or whatever the case may be of how it was set up. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. 3 years down the line, somebody would have said something.
Yeah, completely agree. Most law enforcement, military, high-end like FBI, CIA, most of those people lean conservative. It's very well known.
Yeah.
So, like you're saying that your own party is conspiring against your own party.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. Trump knew that he lost. Biden won the popular vote by millions. He also won the Electoral College. He won the election, and Trump, it doesn't have a history of taking loss well. He's got a whole personal history of doing the wrong thing over and over and over. And he's just a big baby with an orange tan, and he was humiliated that Sleepy Joe beat him. And everybody's like, well, how did all those people vote? I mean, we were going to all of those Trump rallies, and all of a sudden Biden, but you know what? Because there was a ton of people that were sick of Trump.
Yeah.
And they didn't go out with their flags on the back of their pickup trucks. They just went to the ballot and they voted against this idiot. And did we want Biden? I don't think anybody really wanted Biden, but I wanted him a hell of a lot more than I wanted Trump. And the same thing this time. But I do have a prediction about this upcoming election.
I'll wrap it up. Go ahead. You got the last word.
I don't think Trump's going to be able to run for president. I think the Supreme Court is going to look at the Constitution and they're going to say, I'm afraid that he is ineligible because he committed insurrection and he's not eligible for the election. So what will happen is Nikki Haley will take the spot because she's the only one that can beat Biden, and she will.
All right. I don't think that's going to happen, but I absolutely will say this with confidence. I don't think that is impossible. I think.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, I've said something similar could happen, but you're the first to say it is going to happen. Appreciate you coming on. What's up? I like it. Come on back anytime.
Take care.
Absolute. Now, what he's talking about, I've said the same thing to some degree because we do have some Supreme Court committees of the past that went down in history for making the wrong decision, particularly, suggesting that black men could not be free and things like that. But we still look back and point them out as one of the worst group of justices in history. It's possible that those folks may look at what happened on January 6th and say that, yeah, he did something wrong. Also, in regards to our today's question, is democracy on the ballot? I had a caller come on the program, one of the friends of the program, I think it was Andy, who said the same thing what my last caller said, that she believed the Supreme Court was going to rule against Trump. And why the hell would a 6-3 majority Supreme Court rule against Trump? Her response is, what does a dictator need virtually none of? And I didn't know the answer. She's a Supreme Court. A dictator doesn't need a Supreme Court. So I'm not saying that Trump's going to be a dictator, so I don't want folks coming at that. But the folks who do feel like Trump may be leaning towards a dictatorship, you think Hitler or you think Stalin or any dictator needs a Supreme Court? It's over with at that point. So if anybody on the Supreme Court believes that Trump is heading in this direction, they absolutely are going to vote against him, because one of the things he's going to do is get rid of you. There's no need for a Supreme Court anymore if it becomes my rule. So that message needs to be taken away from Trump as quick as possible, because it's not going to help him. Now, I don't think you're going to get the likes of Clarence Thomas or somebody. Some of the folks are far to the right. Some of them, like Sotomayor, we know where they're going to vote. But I can't think of the guy's name. Roberts, I think it is, that was appointed by Bush. Maybe. I mean, Trump has said a hell of a lot of bad things about the Bush family. It's possible what my last caller said could happen. I'm not saying I believe it, but I'm not going to throw it in the trash can. It is possible. Because when Trump was suggesting that the election was stolen from him and the Supreme Court refused to hear his case, he had a lot of nasty things to say about the Supreme Court as well. That's why I often point out when folks say the liberals are after Trump, he's pissed off a lot of Republicans too. Mike Pence and the likes of Chris Christie and all them folks. Those folks are not liberals. I understand in effort to remove somebody who is a critic of Trump, in effort to remove their credibility, we'll just label them a liberal or a rhino. But Mike Pence is neither. Mike Pence is not a rhino or a liberal. Looking in the comments, I definitely want Trump to run, but I like to see him lose, says Midari. All right, well, he is running. He may win, though. But the issue is, if Trump does lose, as you suggested, there's going to be a lot of folks that are not going to accept that, period. Even if Trump were to concede a loss in 2024, I would submit to you a lot of folks are going to say the deep state got to him and caused him to go ahead and step down or say something that he didn't want to say. That's what a lot of folks are saying about all these folks on the right that are pleading guilty. Well, somebody got to him. So I don't know how you do it without a conspiracy. Going back to the box, we'll keep it moving with, I don't know what that says, Jason, followed by Fuck the World. Is that what I'm seeing? Good afternoon, Jason. Trump saw the weaker party and infiltrated it. Yikes. Jason, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you. You got a noisy mic or something going on, but is democracy on the ballot?
Not if Trump isn't.
Oh shit. So you said if Trump is not on the ballot, there's no worry about losing democracy.
You know, we survived 4 years of Trump. If he gets elected again, I think we'll survive. I don't think it's going to be doomsday or anything like that. I don't want to see that, but
do you think
because he has nothing to lose after that.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you that America has survived a lot of harsh times. And you say that we'll survive Trump. We survived 4 years of him before. Do you think he would try to do anything, though, that would be a threat to democracy?
You know, I don't think he'll need to. Because if he gets his way and he gets elected, basically all of his lawsuits just go away.
That is, well, not the one in New York.
In a lot of ways.
The Letitia James lawsuit, the state stuff does not go away. Most of all of the Jack Smith stuff, yeah, that goes away. But what's going on in Georgia and what's going on with his the civil suit, $250 million that Letitia James is seeking, that will not go away.
Yeah, I'm not saying a lot of it.
Okay.
A lot of the prison time goes away.
But even if he loses, do you see him being incarcerated?
No, I really don't.
All right, so he's not going to jail no matter
I don't
what.
think there's any value to him being in prison. I do think he should be in house arrest, protected by the Secret Service, put them in charge. You know, look, you don't do shit. You're here in Mar-a-Lago or wherever the fuck that place is, and just storm away until whenever.
Let the man ride away in a mansion. So
I just don't see how they could do that in prison. Not in a traditional sense.
Yeah.
But,
So how do you feel about folks who suggest nothing wrong happened on January 6th? Like one of my callers said, listen, they were just trying to seek justice.
here, I'm glad you brought that up because I've been thinking about this in a couple other lives the other day about some other people. Never got a chance to talk. So, my opinion is 95% of those people there had no fucking clue of what January 6th was, what the meaning of it was before this, and there was meetings that stirred all this up and said, this is January 6th. This is what happens. And I'll admit, after the election, everything's pretty much procedural after that, and I really don't pay attention to it a lot after all the bitching and moaning about who won and who lost and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's pretty automated, and so I think 95% of those people are dumb enough that they had no idea what the fuck.
So they just came for no reason at all.
No, they were told to come.
Okay.
There were meetings
and there was planning between Trump, all the oath assholes, and the other dickheads.
So you wait a minute. So you do believe Trump himself orchestrated what happened on January 6th?
He had to have.
What?
You know there's behind the scenes meetings with Powell. What's her name?
Sidney Powell. Sidney Powell.
You know, there's already information out there. There are meetings, probably with Giuliani and Trump, and you know, let's see how many people. And Trump expected millions to be there, and that's and only about, I don't know how many showed up, 2,000 or 10,000.
I think there was, I think it was definitely more than 10,000. I won't say millions. And I've heard somebody say a million, but I mean, I do believe it was thousands of people there that day, but I don't think it was a million as some folks said. But based on what we seen happen that day, I'm going to assume you do believe Trump should be disqualified from running for office.
You know, I'm kind of on the fence on it. In some ways, I want to see him get beat.
But wait a minute, you stated you believe he was coordinating with the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. But then when I asked you, well, should he be disqualified, you're on the fence?
He should be. But another part of me just wants him to be on the ballot and get beat.
Well,
I think it helps the American public make that decision. You know,
but let's be clear. If Trump, if let's say what happens the way you said, leave him on the ballot and he loses the election, do you think folks who support Trump are going to believe that election was held legitimately?
I don't know. I really don't care.
No, I get that part, but the reason I'm asking that is if we take him off the ballot, people are going to be pissed off. If he loses a legitimate election, people are going to be pissed off. So what I'm saying is I don't see that making a difference if you leave him on or not.
I think Trump being on the ballot will embolden Democrats to vote to make sure he doesn't get on. Just like last time, everybody was just hell bent. Let's vote Trump out.
Yeah, but they're going to say, just like they said in the last election, it didn't embolden Democrats to vote, it emboldened Democrats to cheat. That's what you're going to hear.
Now, they're going to say that either way.
Right.
We can't win that argument.
Right.
We just got to get him either beat, taking him off the ballot. That's only going to happen in Democratic states. Really, I mean.
Perhaps I don't know if that's for certain. I mean, it's not going to happen in a deep red state, but it could happen in states that are somewhat purple. Michigan has been on both sides to some degree. Wisconsin can go both ways. I believe Minnesota has the capability of going both ways as well. And all of those states were challenging, and it got thrown out in some of those states. But I won't say it's only going to happen in deep red states. I mean, it's only going to happen in blue states. It could happen in areas where Trump was likely to perhaps win. North Carolina is a perfect example of a red state that is starting to flirt with going purple. Trump only won North Carolina in 2020 by a small margin. In fact, he was stating rally after rally that Democrats are cheating in North Carolina. Now, once he won it, all of his claims of cheating went away, but he was saying it in North Carolina. So I'm going to say that it don't always feel like it's only going to happen in blue states.
Yeah, I don't believe in any of this cheating bullshit. There's too many people involved in the election process with checks on both sides, Democrat and Republican, and the polling stations to have cheating go on. It's a bunch of bullshit and fake shit he just made up for making excuses but he lost. It happens so granularly at the county level, and one Democrat isn't counting votes. Everything is double checked and recounted. The whole thing about voting machines getting hacked and stuff like that, they don't understand what a voting machine is. They think it's the kiosk that you actually stand at.
Yeah.
That's not a voting machine. All that is an interface to print out a ballot. That's all it is. I mean, it's not connected to the internet. All it is an interface that can be programmed, that's easy to use, that they can put the candidates and any voting information they need to do. That's all that thing is. That's all that voting machine is. Once that ballot's printed, it's putting it into another machine to be tabulated.
Right. Well, and that's what kind of came out of the Dominion lawsuit. But Jason, I do got to move it on.
Yeah.
If our first time talking?
No, we talked maybe a month or two ago.
Okay, well.
I catch your program every once in a while. At least take a listen. I think you're an Uber driver, and I'm ex-Uber driver, so.
Yeah, I do it on the side. I don't drive for them much these days, but I do occasionally.
Either. I did 10 rides New Year's Eve and made a little bit, but yeah, the Uber thing, man, it sucks anymore.
Yeah.
Fucking rates suck.
Yeah.
There's no surge out there right now.
And that's a whole conversation in itself.
Well,
all right.
I like to say I'm a 1%er in Uber because my acceptance rates hovers around 1%, and it fell to 0% there for a while.
I feel you. My sentiment exactly. Appreciate you coming on, though, man.
Yep. Talk to you later.
Absolute. Now, real quick in the comments, I wanted to point out a couple things. Somebody said, wow, I really wanted to read the comment, but it was in regards to suggesting that the election was indeed stolen. And here we go. Someone, Mama Dillygaff or something says, it was taken. I watched the election. Here's the issue I have, and it's followed by Zeta Star also suggesting in regards to the Dominion machine, saying it still is able to get hacked. This is what I mentioned with a few callers back. I stated that if you see something that looks suspicious, you can point that out. Now, this person is saying you can hack the Dominion voting machines, for instance. Let's say that's true. Now, Fox News obviously lost $750 million. So I'm going to err on the side that what was said about the Dominion voting machines is totally false from the Trump side. But let's say the machines could be hacked. Here's the problem I have, and I've said this numerous times on numerous lives. Suspicious voting activity does not translate into stolen votes for Biden. That's where the issue is that folks on the right, particularly my beloved MAGA, who should be tapping the screen, get your boy up to 80,000. We can make that happen. I haven't solicited that in a while. Tap the screen, get your boy likes up. My MAGA audience tends to believe anything that looks suspicious translates into a vote for Trump. That's where the problem is. If the Dominion voting machines could be hacked, then they were hacked only by liberals in favor of Biden. No Republicans were savvy enough to hack into the machines and cheat on behalf of Trump because Republicans don't cheat. No Republican was going to mail in a vote or stuff a ballot box because Republicans don't cheat. The translation is where I have an issue with. You can point out things that look suspicious. You see Ruby Freeman passing drives. That translates into where she's cheating for Biden. You don't know that stuff. And that's where the issue is that every single claim of impropriety with the election also features some assuming on top of it. I saw this happen, and I assumed it was all in favor of Biden. If you don't know what's on the ballot, you can't make that assumption. Even if Ruby Freeman, who has been exonerated, but let's say her and the mom and daughter duo were passing around thumb drives and cheating. You don't know what's on the drive. You have to assume it was all in favor of Biden. Let's assume some polling places were actually shutting their windows so you couldn't see what was going on inside. A lot of folks brought that up. That looks suspicious. But then we have to assume because they closed the place up, they're cheating in favor of Biden. You don't know that. And that's where the issue is. Everything pointed out has assumptions on top of it. You can't go into court with that. That is why all of Trump's cases were getting knocked down, is because in addition to proof, there was a lot of added assumption stuff on top of it. Every single instance, ballots in rivers, illegal immigrants voting, all was assumed to be in favor of Biden. If you don't see what's on the ballot, you can't prove that an illegal immigrant voted on behalf of Biden. Maybe he voted for Trump. You don't know that. In every case, even up to and including 2,000 Mules, which I saw a half dozen times. At the end of the movie, it tallies up all of the suspicious voting they've seen, and they say all of these votes would have won for Trump, therefore Trump would have won the election. All assumptions. They got cameras looking down at people stuffing ballot, going back and forth to mailboxes, looking suspicious as hell. They tallied how many times it happened, the estimated amount of votes that was being done that way, and assumed all of those were in favor of Biden, with no ability to see what's actually on the ballot. Is it possible that maybe a Republican could have paid somebody to do that in a Democratic area? No, only Democrats cheat. Republicans don't cheat. That's an assumption. And that is why it didn't go anywhere in court. And that's why even to this day, Trump has an impossible task of proving the election was stolen, because it's loaded with assumptions. It's just flat out. Everything that happened was assumed to be done in favor of Biden with no actual proof. None at all. Anyhow, wow, did you really just go there, says, tell me something that doesn't have some type of assumption on top of it. Give me some evidence where there was cheating that no part of the evidence features some assuming. You're not seeing what's on the ballots. If you can't see Biden or Trump's name checked off, then you're assuming Biden's name was there. Show me some evidence. Going back to the box. Mama Dillegaff, welcome to the program. I'm just curious. Show me something that is not assumed. Mama, good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. I watched the election and I seen how Trump was winning by a landslide.
Okay.
Not even an hour later, Biden's winning by a landslide. That was the first thing.
Okay.
Now, I was never political until Hillary Clinton was running. That was the first time I ever voted. I seen what was happening. So I have been watching everything since then. I watched Congress. Congress has already come out with the proof that the election was stolen. They did put Biden's name in. If you watch, you need to watch Congress more, because they have the proof that the election was stolen.
Give me some examples of what they have.
They have videos of the people going to the boxes and filling them with Biden papers. They're all Biden votes. Dead people.
How does Congress have, if they got pictures of people going to the box, how do they know those are Biden votes?
They got the proof. They got the proof. They got the ballots. They went to the ballot places in different states and they got the ballots and they recounted. There are several states that have already recounted and already said Biden did not win those votes. They have stolen our election. I run a store, and let me tell you, 99% of people that come in this store are Trump supporters. 99%. And it's not that they love Trump. It's they know what's happening to our country right now. And if we don't get Trump back in, people are going to be real shocked. What Biden's doing right now to our economy, that ain't nothing compared to what's going to happen if we don't get Trump or somebody like Trump back in, because they are destroying our economy.
What makes you think that I was fat? I'm 6 foot 6, 300 pounds. I was fat when Biden took office. I'm still fat now. What is happening to the country that's so bad that you're making it sound like it's going to be a Great Depression?
An example, I go to the store every week and every couple days. Say I want a certain meal on a certain day. I go there. This meal would cost me $22. I went there to buy the same exact meal, same ingredients, and it cost me $57 freaking dollars.
Wow.
57.
Wow.
This is happening in my town. People aren't eating. I don't even eat half the time because I can't afford to eat half the time.
What do you think Biden has done to make the cost of your meal go up so much?
Biden has increased it. He's given our money away to other countries instead of giving it to us. I watch videos on immigrants in other countries. They're going door to door.
Wait a minute. Wait. How could Trump you said Biden is giving that money away instead of giving it to us? Are you saying that Trump would give us grocery money?
Trump will change the way things are done, where our economy will be improved.
How?
Yes.
What can Trump do to bring down the price of groceries?
Get rid of taxes. No more income tax.
So if you get rid of taxes, where does the tax money go? Is something else going to suffer from that?
No, it's not, because right now our income taxes are going to other countries, to Ukraine. I mean, everybody, I'm not telling anybody how to vote, but if everybody would pay attention to everything, not just one little thing, watch everything, watch Congress, listen to the politicians, look up what they've done, listen to every single thing that's going on, including child trafficking. This is a real problem going on.
Are you blaming Biden? Wait. Are you blaming Biden for child trafficking?
Oh, yes. He is one of them. Definitely. He is one of them.
Evidence?
He's one of the people. I mean, come on. How many kids you got to sniff before somebody's going to be saying, what are you doing? Look at all the videos of him and kids. These kids are terrified.
I thought Biden, wait. Oh, hang on, hold on, Mama. I thought Biden had dementia and didn't even know where he was most of the time.
I don't believe it's even Biden. I saw a video of Biden's niece, and they took it off as quick as she put it up. Biden's niece went on TikTok, social media, and she said she's sick of the bullshit. Joe Biden is dead. He died 4 years ago, she said. Joe Biden, my uncle, died 4 years ago.
Do you believe that? Do you believe Biden is no longer with us?
She said he has a twin brother, and that's who's in the White House. And if you look at half the videos, you can see whoever is there, because it's not always Biden. Sometimes it's somebody wearing a mask.
But Mama, hold on a second. Hang on, hold on. You started out by telling me the man is guilty of child trafficking and ruining the country. Now you're telling me that same dude's dead. Now, I knew this was going to happen. I don't block, ban, or censor anybody, but they removed her from the program. I'm not surprised by it. I always invite folks, if you are removed from the program, to file an appeal. She wouldn't win the appeal. There's no need to even file an appeal with that one. But I don't block, ban, or censor anybody. I was going to let her talk, TikTok gods, or maybe somebody tuning in reported. I expected her. She got real strong in the realm of Q. Certainly suggested that Biden is no longer with us and things like that. So it does go down like that when you go that far to the right. But she's welcome back on the program, Mama. Can't pronounce the last name, but anytime. I don't block, ban, or censor anyone. Program is always will remain MAGA friendly. You know how we do. Anyhow, 10-minute comedy, says Sam. She lied. None of her comments were proven. Yeah, I think the election stuff, Trump was winning big time, and then all of a sudden he's losing. The possibility that they still were counting votes, I guess, doesn't mean anything. The possibility that Trump told people not to use mailboxes when liberals were using them, and the mail-in votes were counted later, doesn't factor in because they believe most of the mail-in votes were stolen or something. Look, like I said, anything stated in regards to the 2020 election being stolen has assumptions added on top of it. I'm assuming because Trump was winning at first, and then all of a sudden he's losing, I'm assuming that some cheating must have happened. That can't be right. That's the assumption part. Just because Trump was way ahead in the beginning and all of a sudden he starts losing, but then you got to prove that cheating was taking place to change that. You can't just assume because it didn't happen in any other election. This is very similar to my arguments on the Epstein issue. Automatically assuming that anybody's name that's on Epstein's list is guilty of something. On Epstein's island, he had property, vehicles. He needed to eat. If a contractor goes to Epstein Island to add on another kitchen to his facilities, you can only fly to the island or catch a boat there. If Epstein flies an artist to paint something, you're going to tell him, well, he's on the list. There's a lot of folks that went there that probably had business. So once again, it's a lot of assumptions being made. Everybody on the list, therefore, must have committed a crime. You can't go to court with this stuff. That's all I'm saying. You can't go to court and expect to get somebody convicted with a ton of assumptions. And the same thing with the Trump suggestion that the election was stolen and Epstein's list. Most of it is based on assumptions. You got folks that are being accused on Epstein's Island of doing something wrong with no victim. You just want to, okay, this person was there, they should be kicked out of office or charged. Well, who did they abuse? Well, somebody on the island. You want them locked up with no victim. I don't understand this. Anyhow, I do appreciate you folks tuning in. You know this is indeed a lunch break live. A lot of you got lazy as hell. Should have been over 100,000 by now. Y'all didn't do that, but I do appreciate that. In the comments on YouTube, hours before the election, Republican pundits were bragging about how the mail-in GOP turnout was high. It's possibility it could have been right, possibility it could have been wrong. I'm just simply saying when it comes to the 2020 election, we need to see more evidence that does not include so much assuming. And overwhelming majority of what folks complain about on the 2020 election features all sorts of assumptions on top of it. That is why none of that stuff is working well in court. I'm not a lawyer, folks. But I could throw a fly in the ointment on most of the claims being made because none of the stuff stated can be stated beyond reasonable doubt. An illegal immigrant voted. Is it possible that maybe one of them didn't know the system and voted Republican? Can you prove that absolutely every immigrant that voted Democrat? Show me some evidence. Nothing can be presented. Same thing with the drive to Ruby. Is it possible that maybe a Republican paid off Ruby Freeman to do what they were doing? No, we just assume she's black, she's in the Democratic area, she voted Democrat. It's all assumptions. And it's not going to fly like that in court. You can't convict somebody based on a ton of assumptions. I don't think I heard a single claim in regards to the 2020 election that you can't add some assumption to make it credible was not added on top. And that's why the court shot Trump down and the Supreme Court were like, this is not going to go anywhere because we know the other side is going to point to all these assumptions and they can't prove otherwise. 3 years later, they still can't prove otherwise. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Catch you guys later. Thank you for the likes. On YouTube, the problem is elections need to be more transparent so we can bury this issue. The opacity to the extent there is, okay, I agree with you that the election needs to be more transparent, but if you don't believe something, you're not going to accept it no matter what. There's no way to get around it. For instance, they allowed folks looking at the election to stand within 25 feet of the folks counting the ballot. Well, then they started arguing, we want to be 6 feet away. Before you know it, they want to see the name and address of the voter. I mean, at some point, look, if somebody believes there's cheating, you may be in a situation where there's nothing you can do to appease their wishes. You have to understand that. There may be, like with the Dominion voting machines being allegedly switching votes to Biden. How can you satisfy people who believe that? You're going to give them the password and let them check everybody's votes? You start negotiating people's privacy because some folks cannot be swayed. They're not going to accept anything you tell them. I don't know how else you can do it. We have the technology to make voting 100% verifiable. Everyone in the country is called blockchain. Yeah, but they'll say the blockchain data in software has been compromised. Anything can be compromised. Nothing is 100% fail-safe. Even if you go into the ballot office and hand in your votes like many suggest, people can be paid off. That's what they said happened with Ruby Freeman. Nothing is fail-safe. So if people want to believe cheating happened, they will always have something they can say happened, particularly if they don't even have to prove it. They can just say, you did this because the deep state got to you, or you're working for the elite. There's no way you can prove that. Folks believe that Mike Pence wanted Trump to lose based on no evidence at all. Well, he wanted to run for president. He's writing a book. You can't satisfy somebody that has that mindset. It's your boy Tim, the handsome